Hello and welcome to the Two Robbies podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Manchester United wins the 2023 EFL Cup final. Pressure mounts on Graham Potter as Chelsea lose to Tottenham in a big London derby. Another lackluster performance by Liverpool as they draw 0-0 at Selhurst Park. Arsenal find a way past Leicester City as they stay top of the Premier League table, and Manchester City find their scoring form as they put 4 past Bournemouth. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode. All right, my friend, let's get started with the first bit of silverware. Handed out, and two teams have done a really good job of getting themselves through the early rounds, finding a way through. I think you have to say, not playing many big boys on the way to the final League Cup final, but they were there on merit.
Correct.
Much anticipated, of course, for different reasons. Man United, Erik ten Hag, start winning trophies, get that mentality going, the winning mentality. And Newcastle United, of course, like first final for a zillion years, and excitement on Tyneside like we haven't seen for many, many decades. Manchester United came out 2-0 on top. First goal, and Casemiro from a set piece in the 35th minute, and then there's an own goal from Sven Botman, where Rashford went through and sclaffed his shot, but it deflected into the back of the net. What sort of game did you enjoy the final?
I wouldn't say it's the greatest game of football I've ever seen. I think the first thing I've got to pay respects to is the turnaround that both these managers have done with two giant football clubs in English football. You know, for Eddie Howe to take Newcastle to the final, to have those fans down in London, to enjoy the day without it sounding a little bit disrespectful is a huge step forward. But on the day, Newcastle played okay without playing anything like their best. Manchester United played a bit better than okay without being at the best, and Manchester United won the game. I think what we're starting to see with Ten Hag, Rob, is the consistency that we've not seen at Manchester United for a while. We've seen Manchester United have good days, score goals, individuals win games, have moments, but we've never seen the consistency that we're seeing in the game today. And I think the biggest compliment I can give Ten Hag, Manchester United, and where something feels to be growing is at 2-0 against the Newcastle side that really went for it with the second half, put Isak and Wilson on the pitch and had Alma on, and St. Maximin at times, 4 attacking defensively. It never looked in doubt, the result. The game management, the understanding, we'll talk about individuals play, but the team structure of Manchester United played a huge part in them winning the Cup today, and that's not something we've talked about. We've talked about great Manchester United players and great moments. Ten Hag is encompassing that, but he's also talking about a structure. Yeah,
you know what? I thought Newcastle United started really well, actually. They started the game really well. They're on the front foot. We're used to seeing that with Newcastle, where they force you back with their energy and their forward passing, their forward running. We talked about that. So I thought they actually started really well, the better side. And then things changed on the set piece where Casemiro scores. And then, as you said, there was a rock steadiness to Manchester United that, I'm not sure how long,
we could be playing till tomorrow, couldn't we?
I mean, Manchester United have never looked back, really, since ending the central defensive partnership of Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire, Rob. Lisandro Martinez, again, is one of the players that I'm sure we both feel in this game had an outstanding game. I mean, he has been some signing. We've mentioned him almost every show, Rob, haven't we, over the last couple of weeks, or maybe longer than that, the way
for sure
that he's played alongside Varane. And you're right, Man United never really needed to find top gear, which is a great sign of a team that can win, I mean, in different ways, but can win when not playing at their silky best. It doesn't have to be flat-out heavy metal football for them to win. It hasn't got to be silky. And they found ways to get the goals, and then were really solid after that. I mean, you talk about outstanding performers for them. You're looking in the defensive areas. Other than that, I mean, Weghorst done his job. Bruno done his job. Anthony was, I thought, a little quieter. Rashford did well for the second goal, but it wasn't. But it didn't need to be, and who cares? It's a good sign that Erik ten Hag has got this team in a way where they can win and they can feel confident about themselves.
The goalkeeper is consistently coming up with big moments when they need to, and it looks like really good business. He signs a longer-term contract, and he's going to be at the football club because it was in doubt, and there's a lot been talk of others, and Dean Henderson being one, and the Jordan Pickfords, etc., etc. So I'm going there. Where I'm going to go with this, Rob, is Varane, Martinez, Casemiro. Straight down the middle of your pitch. The little axis of your back two and the guy in front of him who
Yeah.
fills the holes and does the job. First of all, more than anything, I was sort of seeing them at the end of the game, all delighted, you know, looked excited to be winning their first trophy in English football. But the thing I'm going to say about them all, Rob, and it's something that only hit me as you were saying, they're all winners. They're all serial winners in football
Yeah,
clubs,
right. It's a
in
great
national.
shout.
And Manchester United might not have had that winning since a long time ago, back in our time when Sir Alex was doing all the things he was doing. That winning mentality, that heart of that football club, has changed. And there's a you know, we're not going down to Wembley to enjoy a good day and win Manchester United. We're going down to Wembley to win the game. And if we win it playing brilliant football 4-0, that's great. But if we have to scrape a 2-0 and not play them, that's great as well. And it's an important element of what Ten Hag's brought. And it's a big decision to leave out Maguire, his captain, and Lindelof, who's been a very steady, consistent performer for him over the years and never really let them down. But he's made big calls, he's put winners in the team, and we see what it's done.
It's a great shout. I mean, winners, like what, World Cup winners and Champions League winners. It's a good shout. Never thought about it. And we should have thought about it. It should have been brought up, but absolutely right. I mean, recent signings, they've made the team better. We know that United have got plenty of young talent that's coming through, and Ten Hag's doing a great job of improving that. Marcus Rashford being the obvious example there. But you're right. Varane's they are winners. And Martinez, with him now with Argentina and stuff with the World Cup, it's a great point, and that serves as a bedrock for this team. And Casemiro again, it's the two players that, not just us by the way, the game commentators were really talking on Casemiro and Lisandro Martinez as well as Varane, and they're the two that have been, particularly Casemiro and Martinez, have been absolutely outstanding, with good support from other players. So, you know, when you think of that as a first trophy, I guess, for Ten Hag, first trophy for many, many seasons now.
I think 6 or 7
6 or 7
years now,
yeah. What does that mean in terms of where they're going to kick on from here?
Well, what that means is we get the start of whatever this legacy may or may not be. He's got one in the bag, Rob. He's got his first one in English football at the end of February, and I'll mention it again. I mentioned it on the last podcast. I always remember Jose Mourinho coming into English football and winning the League Cup. He said, "I win that one before anything we get down to the nitty gritty. He's got one in the bag. We've got a winning dressing room." So those 3 winners now are part of a group of winners who are in that dressing room, Rob. They're different from than they were before they went down to Wembley. That doesn't half pull you together.
No, it's a great point, and we'll see. I mean, they're sitting pretty in the Premier League right now. They've got a game in hand over Man City. They're only 6 points behind them with a game in hand. 3rd place in the Premier League. They've got the first trophy, League Cup.
I mean, how many can they win, Rob? They're in 4. They're in for 4. That's 1 down.
Well, they can't win. I can't see them winning the Premier League.
So Europa
That's
League,
a lot of points.
FA Cup. I think they've got.
Yeah, they can totally win the
West
Europa.
Ham in the FA Cup and Europa League.
3
doable.
Could they? Yeah,
doable.
I mean, it's remarkable, and you know, not too many injuries right now, Rob, have they?
No, you think they're in decent shape. He's got decent squad. He
Jadon
can
Sancho is
rotate 1 or
back,
2
ready to play.
Darlow, Wan-Bissaka can change places.
I guess Martial they want back.
Yeah, we talked about interchangeable pieces, didn't we? Eriksen's probably one who's a bit long-term, who, you know, as you get down towards the end of the season, it'd be great to have him back, just with what he can bring.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's been out, I mean, they've still been excellent without Christian Eriksen.
Little Fred, our friend, mate, he continues to just keep putting a shift in and doing well for you.
Yeah. Just switching before we move on, Rob, with Newcastle, I mean, disappointed. I looked at the ownership in the stands at the end there, giving out the medals and stuff like that, and they didn't seem too upset about it. And I think the players shouldn't be too upset about it, because surely if you've lost that final, I know I've lost 3 finals, cup finals, and 2 directly at Wembley there. I know what it feels like to lose a final. I feel like they got to be thinking, well, this is the start of better things. I mean, there's going to be more of this as time goes on and the manager gets more players in the window. So, you know, I still thought they played pretty well, actually. Pretty well. There wasn't much difference, a deflection, a set piece. I thought Isak, Rob, came on and looked really good. Wilson was disappointing up front, a little disappointing. And I thought it was a day where Almiron and St. Maximin had flashes, but the final ball, the end product wasn't there. And even from early on, one of my first notes on this game was, wow, Man United look a lot more dangerous when they do get into the final third. So it wasn't quite Newcastle United's day, but they've come a long way too, and they'll be back competing for big stuff.
What sort of pleased me about Newcastle, and not pleased that they lost the game, because it would have been fantastic scenes and everything, if they'd won the first trophy. But what has pleased me about the football club and the ownership, Rob, is it's not been as glitzy as I thought it was going to be. Let's chuck a load of money at it. Let's win that first trophy. It looks like steady progression is okay. And progression today of getting to a cup final, of going close to Manchester United, is a good step for us. And guess what? We'll be back in the next couple of years, and then maybe we'll be ready to win it. And I think that's been important, because I think we all felt when the new ownership group come in, it was going to be a load of money chucked at it. It was going to be a load of big-name players, big-name managers, glitz and glamour. And
a bit like Chelsea, a bit like what Chelsea have done.
And sort of Man City in the early days. And it looks like it's been built on good, strong foundations, and I'm really pleased about that.
Yeah, and I just enjoyed the fans, the support at the end.
Yeah,
and
it was incredible.
The black and white stuff all around half of the stadium. I mean, they've got some great fans, and I thought it was great, made a good spectacle. All right, back to the Premier League. And, oh, blimey. Tottenham versus Chelsea.
You're all blimey there. You're not all blimey in Tottenham, I don't think, are you?
No, I'm bliming Graham Potter and Chelsea Football Club, Rob. And fair play, 2-0. Yeah. Harry Kane gets the second goal. Oliver Skip with a nice strike early on, just at the start of the second half. Yeah. Graham Potter talked about that, Rob. Let's start off there. At the end of the game, the interview that we all wanted to listen to and how he reacted. And he was amazing. Maybe he has to be less kind of... not very pointed, sort of saying that, the start of second half, we didn't start very well, it's a bad start. Well, it's a 46th minute. It's like you've got tons of time to get back into the game. Do you want to start on where we are with Chelsea before we get to Spurs and the big incident and stuff with the red card stuff?
Just, the Chelsea takeaway. So we had a good discussion, we had a long discussion about the situation Graham Potter found himself in. Him being very open, transparent, talking about how it's affecting mental health and family issues and all that, and what he was up against. And he was very honest and spoke with great emotion about what it is being a Chelsea manager. And basically, I thought before the game was spot on and said, we've got to win games and we've got to score more gols.
Yeah.
So,
and winning will change everything.
Winning will change everything. Right now, in terms of discussions on tactics and shape and that. Let me tell you, the most important thing right now is how Chelsea got on. They've won, lost or draw. Yep. That right now is the most important thing. And they need how Chelsea got on, won. How Chelsea got on, won. How they played should be secondary to how they win games. Right now, to be continue to be Chelsea manager, he needs to win a number of football games. And I think you made a note of the next 3 games coming up, which includes the Dortmund Champions League. Yeah. And then was it, I think, Leicester.
I can't find it now.
Leeds.
Oh, I've got it here. Everton, Leicester and Leeds are the next 3. So in an order. So Leeds is the next game. Then they've got Dortmund in the Champions League. Then they've got Leicester City and Everton.
They would be expected to beat Leeds and Everton. A draw against Chelsea might be seen as okay, and getting through the Champions League. A defeat in the Champions League and a defeat to 2 of those 3 might be the end of Graham Potter. And I know there's been talk about, it's a long term, we're going to look at years and not. And I know all that, Rob, but I saw Todd Bowley today, and I see that football club, and I see the set of fans, and I'm not sure we can continue down the same road. 3 goals in their last 10 games in all competitions.
That's amazing.
With that amount of talent.
That's amazing. It's tough to do.
Incredible.
That's tough to do.
He said a really interesting thing after the game, Rob. I'll just jump to that, and then I'll let you get in. That he said, I was really disappointed how we went about the second half, and they conceded the goal from Skip and didn't play well. And that just jumped at me, Rob, because I thought, okay, I've been in situations where we've been away at Spurs or we've been away at Liverpool, and the manager's like, gets into the fist and like, as you're going out, he's revving you, you're getting ready for the second half. I'm kind of pumped to go, right, even if it's a 10-minute kind of energy burst, and then you settle in again. So for Chelsea to not come out, and I remember Graham Mustoe in commentary went, God, it doesn't look like Chelsea have come out of the dressing room yet, because they started really slow.
Yeah.
I'm questioning, Rob, either what's been said or what are players taking in. Is the buy-in to what Graham Potter's saying and doing as strong as it should be, or messages getting through as well as they should be? Well, that worries me. I've got to be honest, that worries me.
Well, I'll tell you what worries me, and I've been consistent with this all the way through. And first off, real quick, we know how difficult the job is. We know with the transition of this football club from top to bottom, really, that it's not easy to produce a team. We know if you've got 30-odd pros that expect to be playing, that man management's difficult. Okay? Right. That's part of it. We all know that. What I've always said about Graham Potter in this project is that, and we've seen this with previous managers that have gone on and done great things, there's got to be some signs of progression. I can see, I can see that, little flashes. There was flashes in the Champions League, Rob, against Dortmund a little bit. I'm like, here we go. But we're not seeing it now. I'm not seeing it now. And we're starting to get a few weeks in now, Rob, and we're starting to see his best team. I get it last weekend. He made all the changes because it was only a few days after the Champions League. Back to strongest team. And I made a comment on the show today, Rob, where I said, he's not adding any value to this squad. And what I mean by that... Which is
a big statement.
Yeah. The sum of the parts... It's not greater than the sum of the parts. There's got to be synergy in a team. That's the whole point of a manager, that he's got something... I mean, we've just seen a cup final with Newcastle United that have shown that you can be a better team than the sum of the parts. Chelsea aren't at the moment, and that's what he's paid to do. He's got to figure out strategies, combinations, understanding to address the blaring issue. We're not creating or scoring goals. And I don't keep wanting to go back to Brighton, but we did see it at Brighton for a little bit, and now they've changed that and they're a lot better now. But isn't he, Rob, and I'll throw a question back to you, is it that difficult, let's put it this way, for a manager with that talent to find some themes, some attacking themes? Let's work on this, let's work on overlapping, let's work on runs in behind, let's work on midfield players. The players have to get behind defenders to create chances. We looked at the cup final. Well, there's an example of somebody going in behind and pulling the ball back. We're not seeing any pull-back crosses, any low crosses, nothing from Chelsea. Why isn't Graham Potter doing that?
Well, we did a little breakdown on the tactics board, didn't we? And you know, for viewers or listeners want to watch
on the NBC Sports YouTube
channel, have a look at that just in terms of what they did quite well early on in the game, and then how it slowed down and they go very central down the middle of the pitch. The point you make, and I've been thinking about this since the game, Rob, really, because I really like Graham Potter, and I really want him to succeed, as we both do. You know, a young English coach who's come up through the ranks and he's getting a chance in the Big Six. I think I always remember what we used to say about Graham Potter is he's gone into football clubs and he makes players better. He improves them. He improves the way they play, or what. Is he a man who can improve players at a certain level? But you're talking about top-class players who are technically gifted, top IQ. Is there less for him? Does he feel there's less for him to work with in terms of growing that next stage? Do you understand what I mean? In terms of, if he's working with me and you, there's lots of he can improve us on, and we get better, and the team get better, and we all say, wow, what a great manager. If you're working with João Felix, if you're working with Enzo Hernandez, if you're working with Mason Mount and Sterling and, you know, top-end Champions League level players, can he still find that gap of quality that he needs, that he has to get out of them in another level? Can he get to that standard?
Well, another
gold standard.
Another comparison is Erik ten Hag. Of having players that you might feel that they've reached their ceiling. Well, no, we can get better, and players that played before poorly have improved. Let me throw something a little different at you. And I was talking to my son about this, about Graham Potter. He said, well, you got to remember at Brighton, Dad, he said, their recruitment's crazy good. Did he just get, and this is my son talking, not me, you know, maybe he just got great players that made that Brighton a great team. I disagreed, because I said, that's part of it, but he's changed the whole philosophy, the whole style of play. He did a brilliant job at Brighton, but my son's hinting, well, they had some great players come in that are sold on to bigger clubs for big fees.
There's some great players at Chelsea, by the way. I mean, we're not seeing it now, and I know some's potential and some's there, but based on body of work that you've seen some of these players. Some of these players are great players.
But his point was, Brighton are great. They've got great players for their club, and the achievements are mainly through the recruitment more than the manager, which I disagree with. But it's an opinion out there that I think is kind of an interesting one. I just, with a glaring issue like this, that he's got to address it. Attacking dial, however you want to address it, mate. The team has to start creating some space and creating some forward movements, some ideas, some strategies to create. This is crazy run of no goals.
I saw two things today that worried me, and it was João Felix on both occasions. I did a little breakdown on João Felix before the game, just his abilities, intelligence, his football IQ, how he was trying to get in. And there was once he was on the left-hand side, Rob, and he went to play 1-2, and he went to run in behind, and the person on the ball turned back and played safe, and the opportunity was gone, and he shook his head. He kind of just shook his head and like shrugged his shoulders as if, why are you not doing that? And then there was another instance when he was on the right-hand side of the pitch. He was trying to get involved in some play, and it all got bogged down. And again, he's I would say body language was, but it was just he looked frustrated. And he's a top player. He's one you can build on. He's one that you should. And it just smacked to me, Rob, whether all these players, when they get in training, buying into what he's saying. Graham Potter's an intelligent football coach. He must know the things he needs to work on and the things that they need to improve on.
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah.
So
either he's not doing a good job of telling them,
correct,
or they're not taking it on board.
Yeah.
Just finally for me, also Chelsea, they've got brilliant fullbacks. Do we see Reece James today doing good stuff going? I don't know why or what's been said to the fullbacks, but those two fullbacks are so good. And last point is this: Kai Havertz and the number 9 situation at Chelsea has had a lot of attention, right? And we've said that, and everybody on the planet saying, well, it's obvious. I think the ownership's even admitted it. Yeah, we do need a new number 9. I get that, but other players are still not scoring. I went and looked at the top goal scorers of the Premier League this season. The top 14 players, the top goal scorers of 14 in the Premier League, do you know how many are out and out number 9s? Like in terms of, you've got 4.
Yeah, very few.
4 out of 14 players. So it emphasises it's not just about a number 9. Chelsea, I'm telling you now, could have they could have Harry Kane. I'm not sure if that changes much. Because if the build-up, if they don't create much, then does it matter? Because Sterling's not scoring, Ziyech doesn't look like scoring, Felix doesn't look like scoring. There's nobody who looks like scoring, and it's got to be a team thing more than if they get a centre forward, it solves all the problems. That's what worries me as well. That goals should be coming from other areas, and they're not.
By the way, let's spend a little bit of time with Tottenham, because Tottenham did win the game, and another game without Antonio Conte at the sideline, Christian Stellini again in charge. We know that the setup, the 3 at the back, 4 midfield, 3 up top. Richarlison retained his spot up top. Sonny was on the bench, which is what you said. You wanted to see Richarlison get a run in the team, which at least he's getting a couple of games. Hasn't scored, gets involved, obviously puts people under pressure, but probably needs to produce a little bit more in the next couple of games if he's going to stay in the side. Seen a little bit more from Davies going forward and Royale on one side. I thought he started the game quite well. Davies got up the field quite early. But got pinned back a little bit as Chelsea had a little bit more possession. But again, I thought it was a good day for Spurs structure, Rob. Spurs organisation, Spurs ability to defend when they needed to. Midfield was competent without being exciting, and then they've got a threat in the front areas. And this is where I was thinking is a contrast. Spurs have got a system that, as a player, I'm thinking if I was a midfield player in Spurs, I wouldn't be overexcited playing that way, because I can't really see myself getting in that much, but I buy into it because it wins for us and it's better for the collective. So there's a buy-in system for the for the Tottenham players that sometimes isn't that exciting, but they believe in it and it's getting them results. Chelsea have a more open entertainment bluing style system, and I'm not sure there's a buy-in there.
There's no
foundation, is it?
Yeah, there's no foundation
it's
to
different.
it. When you think about the first half was fairly even. And Chelsea did their thing, which we knew that in pass.
Sterling got in a couple of times, didn't he?
And Spurs were forced back a little bit. They had I think I counted 3 because I did a little bit. We talked about the tactics and Spurs pressing like they did against Man City when they scored the goal, the Harry Kane goal, the big important goal. And I wanted to see it. I saw it about 3 times. Yeah. Didn't really win the ball back, and most of the time they're behind the ball. But again, they're durable. Yeah. The second half's different. They get the breakthrough, and like this, even the Harry Kane goal, like another example of. Well, the whole game is an example of Spurs happy to do stuff that's not fun, and Chelsea not really. With Chelsea not tracking Kane at the back post is unforgivable, really, isn't it?
Mount got slightly out-muscled by Dyer.
He lost his marker.
And they get the goal. Listen, mate, just before we move things on, I want to give my underappreciated performer of the week. And it's going to go to the man who was on the sidelines for Tottenham Hotspur. There's no Antonio Conte, and listen, in certain circumstances, the main man's away and things would go to pot. Christian Cellini stepped in for 4 games this season. Champions League against Marseille, huge game, wins 2-1. Plays Manchester City, reigning champions, win 1-0. Plays West Ham United, wins 2-0. And plays Chelsea today at home and wins 2-0. I mean, I think you said a little bit tongue-in-cheek, like, Antonio, like,
take your time.
Take your time. We're a bit freer when you play. But I just think we've seen assistants who have taken jobs. It's not easy to be number one. We've seen assistants who've taken charge and things don't always go to plan. This guy's got the respect to the group. Saw some work on the training ground. Got a great relationship with Conte. You must trust him. Got the other coaches all on side, Rob. And his team play for him.
Yeah. And maybe in a bit more of a freer way.
Yeah.
And underappreciated, absolutely right, of what he's done, stepping in. He's done it before. Inter Milan, he won 3 games when Conte was out at Inter. Yeah. So this is 7 games now. Yeah. He was asked about it in his press conference about, you thought about being a number one? Yeah. And he was like, he kind of likes his work. He likes his position right now. He thinks he's good at it.
Yeah.
And I think he is as well. Absolutely. So it's a good shout because Antonio Conte, to be out for this amount of games is kind of a big deal.
And if they weren't winning games, they were in trouble. Yeah. Spurs would have a bit of an issue of what they do on the sidelines. I mean, it's absolutely just keep things rolling along.
And for the top 4
so Christian Cellini, my underappreciated performer of the week.
All right.
Okay, mate, let's move it to Selhurst Park.
Oh, blimey.
Late game on Saturday, Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. I think we all wanted to have a look at Liverpool to see what reaction was to the 5-2 defeat, sort of mauling at the hands of Madrid midweek. I think the overview was it wasn't quite what we'd all hoped, certainly what Jurgen Klopp would have hoped.
I was really surprised, actually. Really surprised at the lackluster nature of it. Tiredness from that game, possibly. It was on the Tuesday. This game was on the Saturday, of course, the late game on the Saturday, so shouldn't be really. But the lack of kind of appetite for the game is what shocked me. And it must worry everybody at Liverpool Football Club, because if there's no appetite after you've been spanked a little bit and a little bit embarrassed in a game, when you come back and don't really dominate and don't sustain attacks, that's what I was disappointed. There were some sporadic moments at Liverpool where they're going forward, where the front players, of course, are really talented, but then there was long periods where they didn't, and Palace were doing their thing, and there was very little connection between the defenders at Liverpool. A lot of time spent, and Klopp said it afterwards, going from one side to the other side. They had a big half-time here, 70% possession, and yet I couldn't remember that much going on at the attacking end of it. So laboured, struggled to connect from back to front. The front players, Mo Salah particularly, not getting any service. So if you're a forward and you don't get the ball, you're going to be a little bit lethargic, and you're going to, and the same issues persisted. Midfield's inability to really dictate the play of the game, and defensively, slack and errors. And Alexander-Arnold again a couple of times, one loose ball that he puts across that should have been punished, and another time before.
Somebody pushed him off the ball. Ball came through to Matata. Yeah.
So. It's tough to know what to say about Liverpool now, given that game, given the last game. And I get that the last couple of games they won a couple of victories in the Premier League and clean sheets and stuff. It's another clean sheet, but not much reason for optimism of a late push for the Premier League top 4 for me. Can you see anything different in that?
I got to be honest. My takeaway after the game was I felt I felt for Jurgen Klopp because I felt he was in an awkward position after the game. He was asked about the game and what he felt, and he was sort of talking about clean sheets and trying to find the positives, Rob. And I get it, and I totally get it. But we all seen what we've seen with our eyes.
So you're saying that he wasn't being totally
I don't think
honest.
so, because I think, to be totally honest, would be brutal. And to be brutal,
he doesn't want to do that again.
He doesn't want to do that again. He doesn't want to do that yet. He has got to find a way to get with this group from the end of the season and either turn around a 5-2 deficit for Madrid and stay in the Champions League, which is going to be totally difficult, or find a way from where they sit in the Premier League at the moment, which is 7th, find a way into a top 4 spot.
How are they going to do it, Rob?
Based on what...
Show me a way. Show me something. How are they going to do that?
Well, based on what we saw at the weekend, no. The awkwardness with which I was watching Klopp almost try and defend, Rob, was admirable in the way that a manager does that. But I also thought it's a recognition of, do you know what, Liverpool Mark 1 under Jurgen Klopp is coming to an end. And he's going to have some big calls. Fabinho, Hendo to a certain degree, Milner,
Matip,
and
some of these
Gomez.
Yeah.
You know, 1 or 2 of these, Rob, are going to have to be out of the door, and he's going to have to freshen this thing up. It's going to be hard for him to do that because he's got relationships, but it's going to be, with the right support and with the right money, it's going to be necessary. And I just felt he didn't want to do that publicly, and I get why. And I said to you, and I know it's one of those sort of theories that it's never going to happen, but if Liverpool of last year, that had 92 points, I think, behind City, played a Liverpool of this year, last year's Liverpool would beat them 3 or 4. It absolutely run all over them. And we can see it with our eyes, Rob. We know what Liverpool have been, and we've seen what they are now, and you can't really spin it too much.
Do you know what I think also is pretty... not damning, so maybe a little bit too hard, but I think in the last couple of games, you saw flurries. Obviously, first half against Real Madrid, the first 20 minutes, and there's a flurry there. But as you said about, I think, the last game, it goes away pretty quick. Start of the second half, he's probably had a rally up. Come on, boys, we're better than this. They start pretty quick. My first note here is immediately better at the start of the second half. But then it falls away a little bit, as if they're, you know, and they give it a little bit, and it's a little bit better, then the whole situation drags them down again.
It's really interesting because I was listening to the game, we listened to the phone-ins and that, and somebody came on, I think it was a Liverpool fan actually, and had said, we're a bit like an old great boxing champion. Like, we've still got a big punch and we can go for a round or 2, but eventually retire and it gets heavy and you know, they got punch in Salah and Nunez and all that, but to maintain it now, it just doesn't feel like it's there. And it's going to be a big job. Little word for Palace, because with a better centre forward, Rob, Palace look a whole different team. Jean-Philippe Mateta, bless him, 1 goal in 20, I think it's now, 20 Premier League appearances. Had a couple of great chances, hits a ball when he should hit the back of the net. They can't find a centre forward for love the money.
Eduard's got more goals,
3 goals, but can't get
still
in the
can't
team.
Seem to get in the team.
Eze's on the bench, not quite sure if there's an injury or he's trying to save him or rest him or what the situation is.
But he's one of their best players, Rob.
Wilf Zaha trained this week. They thought he might be involved, but obviously wasn't quite ready to be. So, you know, without their better strikers and a little bit more cutting edge, but they need a centre forward, Rob. He needs a centre forward too. I
mean, with all those issues with Palace, again, it goes back to Liverpool. How didn't they dominate more? How didn't they look like they were desperate to win the game at the end more because of the Palace issues? I totally agree. That being said, I'm going to chuck in my underappreciated performer of the weekend. He's a one to watch as well. Supremely talented, 21-year-old French winger, Michael Olise. He is a talent. He's got one of the best left foots in the Premier League. His final ball in has got weight. It's got accuracy. I guess it's a little bit like Hakim Ziyech in terms of that left foot whip from that outside. 2 goals, 5 assists so far this season. I just like the way he plays. And again, this is the sort of shout that we're looking for. Players that everybody out there, just have a look next time. And maybe a lot of our guys know about him because I'm sure we've mentioned him a few times. But Michael Olise's talent, his ability is pretty special. And you know, you said, Rob, that you know people at Palace really well. And he's a bit of a free spirit type of guy.
He's a bit of a different, like, you know, comes from a different place, doesn't always follow the crowd, likes to think his own way and be his own guy. But they see that as a strength, not a weakness. And with him and Eze, they think they've got 2 there, Rob, who can go on to be. And I talked to Patrick Vieira very early in the season before we went over, and Patrick said he's got top 6 capabilities. From Patrick.
He's 21. He's still super young.
Yeah, so it's a good shout.
Yeah,
good shout.
He's a
lovely
good
left foot. Came from Reading, didn't he? And got
he
injured,
did.
and then he's got himself back in the team and playing particularly well. So good point for Palace. Better point than for Liverpool. For Liverpool, still more work for Jurgen Klopp to do.
All right, my friend, let's just go through a couple of these results. Of course, it's impossible to watch every single game really closely through. Leicester City 0, Arsenal 1. Gabriel Martinelli linking up with Trossard. Trossard scored a disallowed goal. Lovely top corner strike. Just quickly on that, Rob, the disallowed goal, there's a couple of people out there that still don't think it was a foul on the goalkeeper.
Oh, Danny Ward's arm, doesn't he? And as he's trying to jump. So he has to go with his left hand. He can't get elevation.
Yeah, he's impeded. It was a correct call. Nice finish from Trossard.
Yeah, lovely finish.
But definitely impeded. Yeah. But then Martinelli outsprints Timothy Castagna, the fullback, scores nicely. They get the win. Pretty solid performance, Rob, of what I saw of the game. And just they're getting the job done well, keeping it going.
Interesting in that one, Nketiah went to the bench. Trossard played as a false 9 and sort of rotated a little bit positions with Martinelli. Bit different. Yeah. Nice move from Arteta, maybe just, giving Nketiah a little breather. Trossard can come in. Trossard looks like a little diamond bit of business, by the way. 3 million, by the way. It looks like diamond bit of business.
Lovely bit of business. I mean... I don't know. They're going to spend a lot more money on Mikhailo Mudryk.
Double that to get Mudryk.
Yeah, and they've gone with, a second choice in Trossard that we've always enjoyed from that recruitment at Brighton.
Smart.
Clever, good, intelligent player, nice finisher. His clever little pass through for the assisting goal. So, good, interesting move that, playing him up front, giving Nketiah a rest. Maybe that's the theory there. I think Jesus, by the way, is getting closer as well.
Isn't he? Yeah, he's working on the grass, I believe, now. So obviously a bit more contact.
And Thomas Partey as well is almost ready to go on the bench or whatever.
And that's what Arsenal got to do now, haven't they? Like, you go away to Leicester, possible banana skin, possible draw, or Leicester team that have picked up recently. So for Arsenal to go there, keep the clean sheet, get the goal, get the win, good, important. And Arsenal have got their game next Wednesday now, which is their game in hand against Everton.
After that, they've got Bournemouth at home. The Villa victory and this Leicester City victory, I think, absolutely critical. Because you know what I've said about them. When they get a blip, how long is it going to last? And they've nipped it in the bud, Rob. The Villa performance was incredible. That comeback and coming from behind, and to win again at Leicester. Leicester are a dangerous team. They've got talented players. And now they go in against a couple of sides, Everton and Bournemouth. You're starting to get to 26 games. Yeah. You're starting to get
now, aren't we? Yeah.
So they've rebounded really nicely from that Man City defeat, and again, not too much changes with the side. He's lucky enough in that he can just make a couple of little tweaks, and they're looking solid again and consistent. And I still think they're going to go ahead and do it. I know you still feel that you're not going to waver from Man City, are you?
No, I'm not. I still think that City might just hunt them back. Let's talk about City. They went down to Vitality Stadium, beat Bournemouth 4-1. I think they've won the last 12 Premier League games against Bournemouth now. Always a tricky one to go. You're never quite sure what, small ground. If Bournemouth are up for it, can they make it difficult? I think it was a day when we both said, someday when City play well, they can make it look easier than anybody else. Just their speed of passing, their speed of movement, their ability to get in behind people, the cross the balls they can create, the goal scoring opportunities. I mean, we saw all that and more, really. The only disappointment, I think, from Pep's point of view, is they conceded a goal. I think that's in the last 6 games now, all competitions, they've conceded 1 goal.
Yeah, but that was in the second half training session.
Yeah.
Second half was literally a training session. They brought all 5 players on. All right, guys, have a kick around out there. Listen, of course, we know the quality of Man City, and they did the same thing again, 3 at the back. Rico Lewis goes into midfield, basically 5 up front, 4 behind the 1, whatever you want to say, and they put them away. But I always, because I've been in teams like Bournemouth, we both have a little bit in this Premier League against the best sides, and you always feel like you want to roll the sleeves up and give it a go. There's no way. I'd love to see the Bournemouth numbers, the running numbers. They didn't put anywhere near in what they needed to get anything out of the game. They got what they deserved, a battering at 4-1. Again, that could have been any scoreline, by the way, if City didn't feel the need. Guys, come on, let's have a... Phillips, everybody, let's have a game. This is nice and easy. So I was really disappointed and a little frustrated at Bournemouth. They didn't have more of a go. Come on. We've seen teams, Rob, in different competitions ruffle the feathers of City more than Bournemouth did. And Bournemouth have got their own issues. They've been better of late. And that's why I was so disappointed, because, Watra they've got and Ahmed Traore, these new players they spent money on in January. They look brighter.
They beat Wolves
and they
last
didn't,
week,
why not have a real go at them? So I was just shocked, actually.
It looked like a fear thing to me. I think very early on they sat deep. They sat on the 18-yard line, trying to get
Zero
passive,
belief
and didn't
from
quite believe they were going to get anything from the game. And by the time they realised they were four down, game was done. Just a quick line on Erling Haaland, Rob, because we had a little focus on him, and there's a bit of talk about, is he making the right runs? Is he smart enough to in a team as intricate as City to do things? I think we saw a bit of both. We saw him once or twice making runs and not get fed. We saw him once or twice making good runs and his joint.
They looked for him a little more.
And he looked for him, got his goal, 27 now in the Premier League. That's more than Sergio Aguero's ever got for Man City. Tells you the levels that he's at. Is this just going to be an ongoing debate till the end of the season? If they win the title and he gets 36 goals, then end of argument, basically.
Yeah, it's going to continue on, and it's going to basically go on results, and it's as simple as this. And maybe we're guilty as well, Rob. If they win and he scores, lovely jubbly.
Yeah, no.
If they don't win the title, and they don't win. Well, hang on a minute. They got a guy scoring all these goals. They're a worse team. That's going to be the narrative.
Yeah, the narrative.
They're a worse team now, Man City. Well, I'm not necessarily. It's a different team now, and they decided to go down that road.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't know yet. They might go on. He might score another 15 goals. They might win the Premier League title. And the Champions League as well. They're drawing, aren't they? 1-1 against Leipzig last week.
They got the second.
But no, he's more involved. Got his goal. Yeah. I thought Phil Foden showed his quality, Rob.
Yeah. He was involved in
every goal. And that's where he's different to Jack Grealish. And again, they are different players. But just think about the involvements Grealish had in the game and in previous games. If you thought about Jack Grealish playing for City, I know what I'd think of. Receive the ball, have a little dribble, play backwards, play little combinations, maybe get the odd goal. That's him. When I think of Phil Foden in my head, I'm seeing a guy that's always arriving in the box, scoring, getting opportunities, maybe missing but scoring, assisting. He's end product, and he's been moulded that way from a young age with Pep. Pep saying to him, "I need you to produce crosses and assists and goals." He was there every single time, and when the ball's in the middle, I looked out, Rob, and I saw Jack Grealish, one of the goals, had pulled away from the box to receive the ball to feet, and Phil Foden had ran towards the goal, and the ball was flicked over. I don't know which goal it was.
Yeah, it was the
Haaland goal.
And
I'm like, well, there's a little example right there. Grealish pulled for feet, Foden in behind and creating something to happen. So I mean, I know he's had his issues, and I listened to Pep talk about him. Amazing Pep press conference on Friday, by the way. He went into a lot of detail, and basically saying that Phil Foden's been complaining, had been about his ankle for a long time, so he took him out of the picture a little bit. So I
looks
thought
like he's done the job, because he looked pretty sharp, didn't he? And
did.
I also just have to mention Rico Lewis as well, because they were involved in, I think, the first goal that came. Rico Lewis goes flying into a tackle, Rob, wins the ball. Phil Foden sets a play up, plays it into Gundogan, makes a run around the back and gets there. Two players from the academy, mate. Not bought for millions of dollars. Two academy players holding their own in a top-side team.
And he's still trusted. Remember that? It was against Spurs, wasn't it? Where Rico Lewis played in the middle of the park. Yeah. He got caught out for the goal, that Hurricane goal that we talked earlier on about. But he's put him straight back in there.
Correct.
Get back in there. You can do this.
Absolutely.
And
that's the confidence you get, don't you?
And the belief. Yeah, he was excellent.
A couple of other results, and there were big results, my friend, at Ellen Road. What an atmosphere there was there on the 10 o'clock kickoffs. We had a big day of 10 o'clock kickoffs this weekend. Yeah. Leeds United won, Southampton 0. Junior Firpo, the unlikely goal scorer, late on in the game. Yeah. Talk to us about the win, Javi Gracia, and what this does for Leeds moving forward.
Well, yes, important for them, of course, and the belief will be there. The backing of the manager will be there. The fans' excitement, well, maybe not excitement, but feelings will be better now. They've got 22 points, Rob. They've got a ton of points to get yet. You got to think about 36, 37, 38. So, no point is a win like that going to mean anything other than, okay, that looks all right. The most important thing for me was, I thought there was more structure to the side. I thought there was a little bit more insurance, a little bit more smart. They go ahead, the manager makes changes, he brings on Mark Roker and late in the game to secure it. They've got the all-important goal. Wow, guys, this is great. Tell me if I'm wrong. Previous Leeds teams, certainly Bielsa, the way you play, but also Jesse March, they score a goal, they're still going for more. We've enjoyed it. We said, look at this team, they always want to fly forward. But really, if you get a goal up against a direct opponent down there for relegation, okay guys, fullbacks, you don't go forward, let's make some changes in the middle of the park and see the job out. And I read something the day after Rob reporting on the game, agree with it. There's a nice calmness about.
I was going to say,
There's a nice calmness about
Gracia. That there was an excitement about Jesse.
There was a,
and not that one's better, one's worse,
just
but
different.
for this football club and maybe this group of players right now, they just need a bit of calmness, don't they? And that's why I think we both said he's the right kind of fit. He's finished 14th, 11th in the league. He's taken the FA Cup. He's got good CV.
He's been in this
can
situation
work
before.
in situations.
Knows the league.
You know, good players, great club, understands what it's about. Will use the home fans to make sure. And there was a period in the game, and I made a note, and I told the people in our tape room, just clip that off. It was 55 minutes, Rob. It was a first period in the game where I thought Southampton looked like they started to get a bit dominant. So Lavia in midfield started to play, and Ward-Prowse. And it was 55 minutes on the clock, and the Leeds fans started cheering and waving their flags like somebody had scored a goal. And it was just a sense that Leeds fans had realised, we're just rocking here a little bit. We need to go again.
They need us a little bit.
And they boosted them, and they came up. They get the goal, and massive 3-point. I mean, that was the archetypal 6-pointer, and Leeds get the win. Gracia gets his tenure off the start. Victor Orta is in tears, which is now becoming a common scene. I mean, I can't wait till the end of the season if they stay up.
It'd be a wreck. I mean, he looked unstable. He looked unstable on his feet. He was so emotional at the end of the game. Ruben Sellers, Robert Southampton, just appointed him. That old chestnut, the caretaker that gets the full-time job, and I thought his words afterwards, Rob, are a bit off. Like, my fault. Like, we didn't do anything.
To take it all. And, home to Leicester next weekend.
I'm worried about. Well, obviously you got to be worried about them when they're. It's just a 4-point gap now. It's a 4-point gap.
Can't afford that to get any.
So you've got to jump above all those teams. So not a good day for Southampton. Other results, my friend: Everton 0, Aston Villa 2.
Yes.
Sean Dyche, you trust, mate?
And Sean Dyche, we kind of trust, and I don't know what happened to him. I mean, lack of goal scorer is huge now to Everton. No Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Mopé came in, not really guarantees you goals.
That's going to be the issue. 17 goals, the fewest in the league.
I mean, you think they can keep clean sheets are going to be something that will happen with Sean Dyche's team, but you still got to score goals.
Get the one. Got to get the one goal.
Yeah, you got to win. I don't really see it. Onana had a brilliant save by Emi Martinez, by the way, in the first half, which would have changed the game. Then Ollie Watkins, 5 goals in his last 5 games, club record for him in the Premier League. Just shows the difference when you've got a striker, mate. A guaranteed striker.
He shows up sometimes, any Ollie Watkins. Sometimes he can be disappointing, but
gets you out of trouble. And Buendia scored a beauty, actually.
Lovely goal. Yeah.
Cody, I thought, thinks turning as he took him left
6-inch nails in the bottom of his boots. He couldn't turn
finish and a smash past this Pickford. So work for Sean Dyche and Everton to do disappointing result at home, especially at Goodison Park. They've got to win games and a big win, my friend.
Big
West Ham United.
Oh.
I mean, some of the media outlets were saying if Moyes loses this game, he'll lose his job. Now others were saying, well, maybe that's a little bit forced and he'll be given a bit of time or whatever. But there was no doubt there was some pressure on this game. And the thing I like with David Moyes, he doesn't say too much to the media. He gets on with the job. He puts Danny Ings in the team. Ings gets a couple of goals. Declan Rice scores a beauty. Antonio comes off the bench and gets a 4th. So from where a game that could be difficult, Forest have just drawn 1-1 with City, he gets a 4-0 win. She'll put to bed that conversation for another month at least. You know, they're back in the Europa
another
League.
Big game comes
up.
And
then, till he's back. But I was delighted for David Moyes. Just that this guy deserves better than this. He's won 250 Premier League games this weekend. Only 2 other people have won that and more. Right. So Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. Yeah. I mean, he knows what he's doing.
I know, that's why it's surprising they're down there.
Yeah,
given his experience, given what he's done at this club on two occasions now, and given what they've done over the last couple of seasons and where they've finished, it's like, wow, how are they still down there? But the big victory against Everton, this big victory as well, is huge for them, but they still only got 23 points. They've still got to go on from here. So in terms of judging who we think could get relegated, it's not on short term. It's like, well, which team looks like it can win games? West Ham look like they can win games. Southampton don't look like... I mean, I get it last time. Bournemouth struggle to win games. Only won 5 games. And Everton as well. Can they score enough goals to win games? I'm sure they can draw another 10 games easily with the clean sheets, but they've got to find ways of scoring the goals. So another fascinating weekend. It was Saturday, wasn't it, Robbie? It was Saturday of all the teams down there. How are they going to get on? Big games. I mean, I love them. I got to say, I love the games. I love the Leeds United game against Southampton being the bottom 2 of different managers, and I loved Arsenal bouncing back and showing that they can maybe have the mettle to go the whole way. It was a fantastic weekend of Premier League football again, and a cup final victory for Manchester United with the progression the Ten Hag's showing. So good stuff.
Great stuff. So congratulations to Manchester United, Carabao Cup winners. While in the Premier League, Leeds win the relegation 6-pointer against Southampton at the bottom. Arsenal, Man City do the business at the top, and Spurs won the big London derby, heaping even more pressure on Potter. We'll be back next Sunday, March the 5th. We'll review Matchweek 26. This is Man City face Newcastle and the little matter of Liverpool versus Manchester United from Anfield. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.